a real estate and finance expert that goes to bat for you every day as a consumer advocate. Your host and the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes.
And yes, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for spending some time with us here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, powered by the Platinum MVP team at Keller Realty. We got a great lineup for you on the program today. Batting leadoff here is attorney Jason Kobal coming up here. We're going to talk about his got an update on a rideshare case that he is working, and also interesting case here with an app for all women, Tickle versus Giggle. You'll hear the details on this, and you'll be like, wow, here we go again. More with Jason coming up here in just a moment. I want to invite you also to our next networking party, our third Thursday event. It's Thursday, April 18th, 6 o'clock, and it's part of our ongoing third Thursday event series with the Consumer Quarterback Show and the Platinum MVP team at Keller Realty. Come on and join us over at Brio Tuscan Grill. That's the official restaurant partner of the Consumer Quarterback Show. Brio Tuscan Grill in Tampa. Thursday, April 18th, 6 o'clock. We're going to be hanging out around 6 to 8:30. We're going to provide food. All the food's provided by the Platinum MVP team at Keller Realty. Great networking. You're going to be able to meet some of our radio show personalities and network and fellowship. It's going to be a good time. Come on out Thursday, April 18th, 6 o'clock, 2223 Northwest Shore Boulevard, Brio Tuscan Grill, the official restaurant partner in Tampa Bay for the Consumer Quarterback Show. All right, a couple of hot listings. We always like to feature our listings live on air. It's part of our strategy that helps our sellers sell faster for more money, maximizing the exposure and the profit on the sale of their real estate properties. 5642 Egrets Place, Newport Richey, Florida. Mediterranean Palace in a gated community. Gorgeous home, 3-bedroom, 3.5 bath, 3,000 square feet. Quarter-acre lot, heated pool with a waterfall feature. You have an elevator in this home, fenced-in, gated backyard as well, and you have views of the intercoastal waterways there, the canal leading out to the bay. Upgraded stainless steel appliances, granite countertops, wood cabinets, and more over at 5642 Egrets Place, Newport Richey, Florida. Beautiful property, Mediterranean Palace in a gated community, and we just did a price improvement on this lovely home as well. 18522 Gulf Boulevard, Unit F. Have you ever wanted to own your own beachfront home? Well, this is your opportunity here. $1 million listing from the Platinum MVP team at Keller Realty. 18522 Gulf Boulevard, Unit F. 3-bedroom, 3-bath, 2,000 square feet beachfront condo in Indian Shores, Pinellas County. Beautiful property. Now, a couple key elements here. You only have a $250 a month fee, and you can short-term rent this property out. So great opportunity for an income investment property as well. Short-term rentals are allowed, and only $250 a month HOA fee. 3-bedroom, 3-bath, 2,000 square feet at 18522 Gulf Boulevard, Unit F, Indian Shores. And you can see all of our real estate listings at PlatinumCoastalElite.com. Check out PlatinumCoastalElite.com.
This is God's country.
All right, Jason Kobal, attorney Jason Kobal, welcome back to the show, my friend.
Hey, Brandon, always a pleasure, sir. How are you?
Yes, sir. Blessed and highly favored, and I'm looking forward to these updates. I love getting these updates from you, and Jason is our legal analyst for all things personal injury law, work comp law. And what are you seeing out there, Jay?
Well, I don't know if you remember the last time I was on the show, I told you about a very exciting case. I love all my clients. I fight hard for all of them, but every now and then I get a case that really gets me going, and this is one of them. One of the major rideshare companies, I don't want to get into specifically who, but apparently they have an issue with their drivers sexually abusing riders, believe it or not, and drugging the passengers, and in this one particular case, raping them. And when I first got the case, I was like, oh, my gosh, that's horrific. And you astutely pointed out last time, gosh, a couple of years ago, we couldn't even imagine sending your daughter or something in with an Uber driver. But the world has changed. But, this turned out to be a major problem. When I did the research, I've learned, get this, this is a problem. There's a class action for this very problem in Canada. There's a class action for this very problem with rideshares in India. In Texas, they were having issues with that, and they were asked to fingerprint the drivers, and the rideshare company refused. So this has been an ongoing issue going on over a decade, and this company that's made trillions is not solving that very serious problem, and that's going to be a problem I'm going to be taking on in my case.
Wow. So yeah, I mean, if you think about the money these rideshare companies make, and they said no to having a common sense, basically a procedure in place, saying, hey, let's know who these drivers are. We have a certain percentage of them that are raping and thieving and stealing and drugging passengers. Would it be a fair idea to suggest that we fingerprint these people? And they said no to that.
Correct. Yeah.
Wow.
So I mean, it's just crazy. But you know what? Every now and then, like I said, you get a case that in Florida, punitives are available, but they're very rare, and it's only for a situation where there's a company that's harming the public, and it really has nothing to do with your specific case and the damages in your specific case. The punitives are meant to send a message to society and this company to try to stop the conduct that is putting people in danger. So, and for the bigger the company, the more money they have, the larger the amount has to be for them to feel it. So I'm hoping that we get punitives in this case to send them a message and hopefully stop this, because, somebody's got to stop it. It's terrible. It can't go on. People rely on them for rides, and they can't call for a ride and end up with a nightmare.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I remember I studied in school. I for a little bit of my career in school, I thought about law and I thought about pre-law. And I remember hearing about the different types of damages: compensatory, punitive,
Yep.
and there's one other there that I'm forgetting. But punitive damages, Jason, that means to punish. That means to,
Yeah.
you're punishing that company because they should have taken more action without the court intervening. Is that right?
Exactly. Yep. And it's a problem they knew about, and despite knowing the severity of it and the dangers of it, they haven't fixed it, and they have to, for our society's sake. So I'm hoping the court agrees with me, but that's the angle we're taking on this one, and it's one of my all-time favorites. So I'm fired up.
Attorney Jason Kobal here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. I'm your host, Brandon Rhymes. Jason, what's your thoughts in general? There was that attorney out in California that got disbarred. He was representing, I believe it was Trump or some surrogate of Trump in the election aftermath of the stolen, fraudulent election, and they actually took his license last week. Did you catch that? Did you see that?
Oh, I did. I would love to see that.
Yeah.
Disgusting. Not only obviously Trump has been targeted, but many of the lawyers that has done work for Trump have been targeted. I mean, if you look at Rudy Giuliani, and not just by, we're talking about by the bar in certain states. They're going after these attorneys. I mean, it's sad. I mean, the target on Trump's back expands beyond him to anyone in his circle, and it's disturbing.
Yeah, it really is. And you look at this lawfare, it's like a new tactic of the left and of the radicals in this country is to file suit, to cause damage, to take off the campaign trail, to drain bank accounts, and it's a very, man, it's a pernicious tactic and strategy that seems to be just their new strategy and tactic of 2024, 2023.
Yep, it is, and it's hard to believe because I never, ever thought we would cross this line. I mean, we are really playing with fire using our legal system like this. I mean, you look at these indictments for Trump, good God. I mean, Fani Willis, that one imploded in her face, rightfully so. But all four of these, none of them are going to finalize before the election. And so all these millions of dollars were spent, wasted on cases that aren't even going to be final. So what did they accomplish? Well, for 2 years or a year and a half, however long they've been pending here, the fake news got the pump into people's heads that Trump's a criminal, when not one of these damn charges is going to pan out. I mark my words in the end.
Right. Yeah, and it's part of their strategy again to utilize the branch of the fourth branch of government, or let's call it the fifth branch, which is the media. Right, and the leftist media that in this country, really outside of Talk News and a couple of good channels, Real America's Voice, Newsmax, OAN, Right Side Broadcasting, little bit of Fox, but not even Fox all the way this time anymore. The rest of the news media is just all gung ho, and it's always negative news against Republicans, negative news against Trump. But that's their plan. That's part of their strategy, right?
Absolutely. In fact, the lawfare plan doesn't work without the media. It's bad enough that these prosecutors have the guts to file these ridiculous charges, and some of these judges have the guts to make these crazy decisions they've been making. But none of that would work but not for the media pounding into people's heads, covering this stuff as if they're legit cases and as if, they're actually going to pan out where Trump ends up in jail. I mean, heck, if you add them all up, they're trying to put Trump away for over 700 years. I mean, we don't even do that to murderers. I mean, it's absurd what's going on.
He on the campaign trail, he jokes that he's been indicted more than Alphonse Capone. It's funny to hear him talking. What an entertainer! I mean, just what a special person and family. And he had some really awesome fundraising efforts over the weekend. It was something like $50 million. Remember how a couple weeks ago they were all patting each other on the back? Oh, Biden and Clinton and Obama raised $26 million, and then Trump goes out and busts out all that up, doubles them up, and raises $50 million in a weekend, wasn't it? Something like that?
Yep, that's beautiful. But it's funny, though. You won't hear that on all the fake news channels. You only hear it on – but, yep, you're right.
Yeah, you won't. So we're talking with attorney Jason Kobal on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Jason talks about personal injury law. He's also had some defamation cases happening, too. Jason, is there anything new on the defamation side of your practice?
Well, no, I was local counsel on a few big cases for the MAGA movement, we'll say, and at this point, I've handed them all over to Jesse Bernal. He's a great attorney. You see him on Newsmax sometimes. He's one of Donald Trump's main civil attorneys. A great lawyer. He's taken those over, and they're still pending at this time. And it looks like they're going well. So I wish Jesse the best for here and to finish them out.
Yeah, that's right. So local, again, on the show, we always talk about supporting the local economy. That's where you hear us interviewing local business owners, local doctors, attorneys, CPAs, financial advisors, home service providers. We bring in local politicians as well on the show. And we want to have that local flair. That's the big difference between our show and some of the other national shows, which are awesome. Salem Media has a great lineup all day here. The big names that we have on the program. But we want you to support the local economy by supporting attorney Jason Kobal, coming up Dr. Scott Anderson as well on the show. And yesterday's show, we talked with our Hours Creole, just awesome business owners and local businesses. Support the show by calling in the hotline 727-263-3707. You can call or text the hotline 727-263-3707. And it really makes my day having those conversations, those text messages, exchanges. You can also email through the website, consumerqb.com. You can submit an email there on the website as well, and that will come through right to me. Jason, can I hold you over for one more segment?
Of course.
Okay, great. We're going to come back. We're going to take a quick break. I want to get this one in. Alex, what's the tease on this? This was an app for an all-women's app. There's an app that's being teased here. The story coming up, transgender woman sues female-only app Giggle for girls for allegedly discrimination. Roxanne Tickle claims she was unlawfully barred from using the app after the firm and its CEO said she was a man. All right, we're going to jump into this wacko job here in a minute, coming up on the show. Coming up more on the Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
Thanks for listening to my daddy's show. Please make sure to send him all of your real estate deals and subscribe to the Consumer Quarterback Show podcast on iTunes and Spotify, or check out our YouTube channel. Have a blessed day.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 727-263-3707. Online at consumerqb.com.
Dennis Prager here for Brandon and Lindsay Rhymes, owners of the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams. Buying, selling, investing in real estate, their nationwide Keller Williams network makes them the best team to work with. Sellers, have your property featured live on air, creating multiple offers. Buyers, leverage a unique system that gets your offer accepted, never overlooked. Call or text 813-750-0550, 813-750-0550, or consumerqb.com.
I want to give a special thanks to Satellite Phone Store. They just hooked me up with this beautiful satellite phone, and it's a gorgeous phone. It's a great device. It's a safety device as well. Think about it. If you're out on the boat 40, 50 miles out, maybe you're going hunting or you're going hiking in the woods somewhere, you run out of cell phone service, or who knows, maybe a possible terrorist attack. It's not like our politicians aren't entrenched in all this stuff going on overseas, all over the place, all over the world. Could be a terrorist attack. They could attack the power grid. They could attack the cell phones. Who knows what they're going to attack next. Sat123.com/REQB. Sat for satellite, website, sat123.com/REQB, like real estate quarterback.
You're listening to The Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes. Online at consumerqb.com. Brandon is Tampa Bay's #1 consumer advocate for real estate and financial advice. Call Brandon today at 813-917-1894.
All right, welcome back. Brandon Rhymes here, Consumer Quarterback Show, powered by the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty, always helping you in your real estate deals. If you're buying, selling, or investing, we would love to talk to you, help you negotiate a great deal on the buy side and also on the listing side. What we do is we feature all of our listings live on air. The strategy is maximum exposure, maximum profit, going to help you sell faster for more money, featuring your property live on air on our daily show, syndicated on 80 outlets worldwide for maximum exposure, leading to maximum profit on the sale of your real estate properties. A couple of hot listings here for this segment. We got a property at 6020 Shore Boulevard. This one is a great opportunity, unit number 406 in Gulfport. This one is 1 bedroom, 1.5 bath, 1170 square feet, 55 plus waterfront paradise right here in Tampa Bay. You've got gorgeous views of the bay from your living room. This is a vibrant community as well. You have billiards room, poker as well, game nights, clubhouse, lots of things to do at this retirement community, 55 plus waterfront paradise, 6020 Shore Boulevard South, unit 406 in Gulfport, Florida. Also, 3417 Poinsettia Drive. This one is vacant land that we have listed. We have about 60 current listings on the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty. Vacant land, commercial properties, and opportunities to build on this vacant land, and of course residential. But 3417 Poinsettia Drive, Hernando Beach. It's a 0.13 acre lot. Build your dream home right here in a waterfront lot on a cul-de-sac. Direct access to the Gulf of Mexico. Recently upgraded community boat lift. Water, sewer connections are right there and available. Cleared lot, seawall stands ready as well. 84 feet waterfront stretch as well. No CDD or HOA. Poinsettia Drive, Hernando Beach. You can see all of our listings at PlatinumCoastalElite.com.
Yeah, I'm raising my glass to those saving our ass overseas.
Quick shout out to Discovery Golf Cars, longtime friends of the Consumer Quarterback Show. They offer new and used golf cars. They also offer Easy Go, Star EV, Cushman, and many more. DiscoveryGolfCars.com. Check them out online. DiscoveryGolfCars.com. Let them know the real estate quarterback sent you. All right, attorney Jason Kobal, he's our legal analyst here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, local personal injury law attorney, and also work comp law. So any cases dealing with work comp, personal injury, reach out to the show hotline. We'd love to put you in touch with him. But we kind of teased this story here. We got an interesting story about this app that was developed. So transgender woman sues female-only app Giggle for Girls for alleged discrimination. Roxanne Tickle claims she was unlawfully barred from using the app after the firm and its CEO said she was a man. Wait, she was a man? What? Okay, got it. Okay. So, Jason, what's your take on this story here?
Well, it's interesting. By the way, I believe this is out of Wales. It's not. I don't think it's the United States, because if it was the United States, and this very well could happen in the United States, but the number one defense to any defamation case, and this goes throughout in any state in the United States, is the truth. So I have a really big problem if this person was biologically a male when they were born, and then they transitioned or whatever, and this individual called them a man, and then she's suing, claiming that was the defaming comment, that was not true. I would say that should get thrown out immediately,
right?
Because that could technically be true. I mean, just because you've changed the parts on the outside doesn't mean you're not who you were born biologically. Right. So for someone to call that person a man, and if they were born male, then I think they just lost their defamation case. So that should go nowhere fast, hopefully.
That should go nowhere fast, hopefully. Yeah, I agree with you. And then, it's interesting coming off the heels of this, this NCAA and the women's NCAA. I think it was 18-point-something million people watching that finals of Caitlin Collins, I think was her name, of
yep.
Iowa versus the eventual winner, South Carolina. But, yeah, the women's sports Caitlin Clark it was. Yeah, thanks, Alex. And when you think about that, I mean, how would you like to have these situations where you have these so-called transitioned people competing against your daughter or a sibling or something like that? I mean, it's pretty crazy to think, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, and you make such a great point about Caitlin Clark in particular. I got to be honest. I watched that last finals game, and that's the first women's NCAA finals game I ever watched. Why? Because of her. And she's very impressive. And I got to admit, just the game, I haven't watched a girls' game in a long time. It was impressive. I mean, they're really good, and it's only going to get better. And now that they're able to pay these college students, you got a lot of these female athletes that they're doing their own marketing. They have their own social media sites, and heck, they do it better than the guys. And the sky's the limit for the WNBA and for the NCAA after what this girl did. And they could all get ruined by having guys that are biological men competing against the women. So they have something good going in female sports. They don't need to ruin it by going up against men that could hurt them. Yeah,
and the NIL has changed the game in a lot of ways. The name, image, likeness has really changed the landscape of sports. And the big news last week was, Nick Saban and his wife hosting these athletes over. And normally it would be a conversation around values and character and improving, helping the kids transition from, college into the pros or into the work-life balance, those types of conversations. Now, I think it was the wife was quoted as, they only want to know how much you're going to pay them, So think about that. You have the schools that have the money, Alabama. I think about if it was a Major League Baseball, for example, you have the New York Yankees, and then you have the LA Dodgers, and you have maybe Chicago team. So it's kind of like the Tampa Bay Rays in a sense, where they don't have the budgets. But to me, that's what Senator Ted Cruz, they were coming to. They were going to have these different meetings about that and congressional hearings to try to figure out a balance here, because there's got to be a way to balance this thing and still do the right thing for the athletes, Jason.
Yeah, no, I totally agree, and it'll be interesting. That's just recent, those changes to college sports, and we'll see how it goes. I mean, I also know in college football, it's hard to keep track of these players now with they transfer in the blink of an eye, so they're playing for money, and the loyalty isn't there like it used to be. They'll transfer from one school to another in a drop of a dime. It's a different game, that's for sure.
Yep, it is. Take the last minute or so, Jason. Tell us a little bit more about your practice and how people connect with you here in Tampa Bay.
Oh man, it's my honor. I'm very proud of our practice. I've been a solo practitioner, or I have my own firm since 2011. I've been doing injury law for 24 years, and I have a passion for it. Started out my career on the other side, working for the insurance companies and in injury cases, and I quickly learned I didn't like that. I didn't like getting high fives when I lowballed a person who needed that money and probably deserved it. And it was terrible. But ever since I switched to the claimant side, plaintiff side about 21 years ago, it's been awesome, and it's been a blessing to me and my family. So anybody out there who gets hurt at work or in a car accident, give me a call. I promise to take pride in putting our clients first and explaining everything. We make every decision together, and you'll get the best possible result you could get. So we've been at it for a long time. We got a close-knit group. The lowest amount of time one of my staff has worked for me is 9 years. So everybody at my office has worked for me for a long time. We're a close-knit group, and we love to help people around the Tampa Bay area.
The website?
Yep, at KobalLaw.net or TampaWorkCompLaw.com.
KobalLaw.net, TampaWorkCompLaw.com. Thanks a lot, Jason.
Thanks, Brandon. Bye.
All right, taking a quick break. We're going to come back. We're going to talk about the mental health crisis in America with Dr. Scott Anderson in studio with us. Dr. Scott Anderson coming up here. Also got an interesting clip around Gen Z, a new book that was written around Gen Z coming up here on the show. Later on as well, Billy Christensen, he's running for Supervisor of Elections here in Hillsborough County. So you want to stay with us here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com. Hey. All right, we appreciate you spending some time with us here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. powered by the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty. Quick shout out to our friends over at Replenish IV Solutions, longtime friends of the Consumer Quarterback Show. I love visiting their Gandy location. They got multiple Bay Area locations, and they can come to your home or office. Replenish IV Solutions, and it's something like the Myers cocktail, all the great vitamins and nutrients injected directly into your bloodstream. ReplenishIVSolutions.com. Let them know the Real Estate Quarterback sent you. All right, hot listing here in Tampa Bay, 6901 46th Avenue North, St. Pete. This is a commercial mixed-use property, and we do list vacant land and commercial property, so if you're selling a property, we'd love to talk to you. We have a property here that is zoned mixed-use, 2 separate buildings on a corner lot. You got about 40 to 50,000 vehicles a day passing by. And you have a main residence here, so you have maybe an on-site manager or something like that, or you live on site. And up front, you've got that store frontage with signage ready to go with your business, your company name. You could park trucks and other equipment there as well. 6901 46th Avenue North, St. Petersburg, Florida, one of our hot commercial listings and mixed-use listings from the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty right here in beautiful Tampa Bay. All right, we got another listing here at 7202 US Highway 301 South in Riverview. We're going to stick with the commercial theme. This is another commercial property, corner lot location, 50 to 60,000 vehicles a day passing by. 2 distinct setups here. You have a muffler shop, brake mechanic shop here on the one side, and the other you have currently operating as a barber shop, but that could easily be converted to an insurance company, real estate, mortgage, title, attorney office. 7202 US Highway 301 South in Riverview, corner lot. Great opportunity to own real estate right here in Tampa Bay, and you can see all of our listings at PlatinumCoastalElite.com.
Try that in a small town. See how far you make it down the road.
All right, Dr. Scott Anderson back in studio. Welcome in, sir.
Good to see you, Brandon. Good to see you, Alex.
Yeah, man.
Always glad to be back to spread some education about wellness.
I love it. Yeah, mental health crisis is a common theme. And
yeah,
what are you seeing out there?
Well, unfortunately, our children is what I was talking about last week, and I'm going to be covering that this week. So parents, you better have a seat. You're not going to like what you got to hear or what I have to hear. The children we're in the midst of a mental health crisis,
right,
with our children, especially, like we've never seen before. I mean, it is, it's becoming to the point where you just literally can't turn on the television without seeing juvenile delinquency and all kind of aberrant behavior from kids and all kinds of issues going on. I did a meta-analysis this last couple of days. I was sick, so I had like 3 days to kind of pour over some research that had backed up, and this was the subject topic that we went over. So if you don't know what a meta-analysis is, basically I took a whole bunch of different peer-reviewed research about the subject and made an analysis of it, a synopsis, if you will,
cool.
Over maybe 50 or so studies over the last 5 years. And basically, the overwhelming conclusion is kind of dismal. So I was going to give you just a quick synopsis of the data and then kind of speak as to basically what's causing this and then obviously what the fix is, because it's no good talking about it if we don't have a fix.
Sure.
The quick synopsis of the data are the major causes of mental instability. That's what we're talking about in children, especially. Now, this also relates to adults, but primarily the data reviewed was for children. The major causes of mental instability was first and foremost the disintegration of the primary family unit, the fatherless homes in particular. The second was the after effects of the COVID lockdowns, especially in schools. That has been catastrophic. I could have a whole show just talking about that and the effects of the lockdowns and that whole debacle. The third one is, I'm going to give you the top 7 because we just don't have time to go over all of them, but the over-dependence on technology. Especially in the schools, but the over-dependence on technology, especially in parenting as well, but just overall dependence on technology rather than in-person stuff. So that depersonalization is the after effect of that. Social media overindulgence. That's probably one of the biggest ones. I was going to come back for a show on that because that's huge. Right now, I'll just give you a quick stat on that. The more time spent, this is a meta-analysis of several peer-reviewed in Pew Research Center.
Pew Research.
Yeah, and also the Washington Post had some information on this. The more time spent on social media, the greater the prevalence of mental instability and psychological distress.
I could see
Hands
that.
down, bar none.
Yep.
Social media is one of the top 7 biggest influencers of mental instability and psychological distress, leading to all kinds of mental health issues, depression, anxiety, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
The problem with it, and why it goes even further, is because it sexualizes children.
Exactly.
The overexposure to Instagram especially.
Yep.
There's so much over-sexualization of children on that forum in particular,
Yep.
as well as desensitizing violence
Right.
on social media, and TikTok as well.
Yeah.
And then the next one is liberal ideation indoctrination in learning institutions in particular and in social media.
Yep.
And then political corruption, especially of the core institutions, in particular
Right.
The judicial system.
Yeah.
If there's no rule of law and there's a permissiveness to drug use and there's a decriminalization of crime and
Right.
felonies and violence, obviously that's going to affect mental health severely.
Yeah.
Touched on that a little bit last week. The poisoning of our food, that's another one too, because when you poison the food and the water, I'm talking with GMOs, I'm talking about with preservatives, I'm talking about the salt, sugars, fats, the toxins and dangerous ingredients that they're putting into these or allowing into these foods
Yep.
to make their profits higher and the nutrition value lower.
Yep.
That's devastating. Obesity in children alone is 70%, and the vast majority have obviously health-related issues
Wow.
with that, including diabetes, which is, I mean, it's catastrophic. So, again, what are the consequences? They're catastrophic. I just run through this. These are the consequences that not only do I see in the practice and at the clinic, but overall, especially in all the data and research. Nearly half of your children report feeling sad and hopeless.
Yeah.
With no outlook for the future.
It's terrible.
That's horrible. That half of the children right now, this is up through high school, feel hopeless, like there is no future for them.
What's the suicide rate? Do you know
Well,
that?
yeah, I'm going to give you those. That's next.
Okay.
Consequently,
I read your mind.
Yeah, one in five kids seriously contemplate
Wow.
suicide.
American
Seriously
kids?
contemplate American.
Just
Yeah,
American.
that's the studies came from the United States.
Yep.
That means 9% actually attempted suicide. 9%
Wow.
of children overall. So nearly 70% of children are overweight, which I aforementioned, or obese and have health-related concerns as a result of that. The majority, now, and again, this is what's so sad, a majority of children are suffering from depression, anxiety, substance abuse, or experimentation, juvenile delinquency, and are engaged in sexual activity or in violence or have gang affiliation,
Wow.
mob-like.
Right.
And you see that on the news all the time with all these gangs of little kids, running around beating up people
Right.
and bullying people. So that's the side effects. That's the catastrophic consequences of this, of the research shows. Now, you may be saying, well, that's great. Where's this come from? Well, I think we kind of know where that comes from. If you don't, parents, have a seat. You're not going to like what I'm about to say.
Yeah.
It comes from a failure of parenting.
Right.
Parents are failing their children. Modern parents are failing their children.
Yeah.
In this day and age, and unfortunately, this gentle, overindulgent,
Yep.
iPad parenting
Yep.
is destructive. It does not work. Parents, listen to me. It does not work. Your job as a parent is not to be liked by your
Yep.
child. It's not to gain a new best friend or to have a buddy to lean on. It's to teach them about life, how to interact, how to engage in life in a meaningful, productive, independent way.
Yep.
And there's milestones that have to be met. Children just don't evolve. They are dependent upon you to raise them and to be engaged with them.
Yeah.
And it's the failure of that parenting that's led to the aforementioned catastrophic consequences.
Dr. Scott Anderson here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. I'm your host, Brandon Rhymes. And yeah, the mental health crisis in America, there's so much there, and it's wow. If you flip that too, I was thinking about it, if you flip that, one of the commandments is the to honor thy parents, right?
Mm-hmm.
To honor thy parents. Doesn't say you got to love your parents. Yeah. Doesn't say, it says you have to honor them. And I think that's set that way for a specific reason.
When I say that you don't, if you're parenting and your kids like you, you're probably not doing a great job. But they'll love and respect you. That's what you want. You want love and respect, not liking.
It's a balance.
Yeah, you have to tell the kids no. You have to teach impulse control, delayed gratification, independence, sacrifice, work ethic. You have to teach all those things for children to be functional in society. And that's going to meet with a lot of resistance because kids are concrete operational in their thinking. They're pleasure principled. Yep. Meaning that they only want pleasure and avoid pain. Yep. So you have to teach them impulse control and delayed gratification. You do that by having consistent rules and boundaries and consequences for actions.
Sure.
And accountability. If you don't have that, you're going to raise a child that doesn't have impulse control, that's overindulged, entitled. Again, we've talked about this many times.
Yeah.
And that's going to lead to all kinds of, again, the aforementioned catastrophic consequences.
Yeah, you see the typical helicopter parent. You see that parent, like the kid gets in trouble at school, and it's like, they immediately jump to, it must be the teacher's fault or the principal's fault, right? They say they run to the defense of the student instead of, hey, let's hear him out, let's find out, and then we used to get punished twice. You get punished at school, and then you get punished worse at home.
Exactly, but that you can't be a best friend parent. You have to hold children accountable. You have to teach them to self-soothe. You have to teach kids. I tell parents, listen, here's your job, to teach kids internal stability, self-reliance, self-soothing, coping skills, critical thinking. You have to allow a kid to fail so that they can learn from that failure, assess what they've learned and apply it. That's what critical thinking is. And there's a complete void of critical thinking in the last two generations because parents aren't parenting.
Yeah, critical thinking
and you have
key.
to teach impulse control, physical health. That's why children are overindulgent with food, is because the parents don't regulate it. Right. Children won't be obese if the parents aren't obese, and they regulate and tell the child what to eat and regulate that and discipline that.
Yep.
You have to have community connection. Religion is very important. Church,
right.
Or even just spirituality.
Yep.
And then you have to have patriotism, a love of God and country and your fellow man.
Yeah.
If you have those things and you instill that and you model that behavior in your children, I guarantee your kid is going to be very stable and very prosperous in life and happy and content. And he may not have liked how you got him there, but he will love and respect you the rest of your life.
Respect you for it.
Absolutely, without question.
That's absolutely right. How do you want people to connect with you, Dr. Scott Anderson, here on the Consumer Quarterback Show?
They can go to sharethelovecharities.org, sharethelovecharities.org.
Okay.
We utilize the funding that we get and the contributions to fund mental health education, like the stuff that we're learning now, as well as treatment for people in local community, veterans and families of that need help, need a little assistance. And then there's also a YouTube channel. I put out a whole bunch of educational videos that you can utilize for free. It's Dr. Anderson or S. Anderson. And then you can find that on YouTube channel, Dr. Anderson Addiction.
Awesome. Good stuff. Always a pleasure. Always great content. Mental health crisis in America and the solutions for that. Dr. Scott Anderson here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. You can also find his contact info on our website at consumerqb.com. Thanks, Scott. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Love being here.
Awesome. All right, taking a quick break. We're going to come back and talk to Billy Christensen. He's running for Supervisor of Elections here in Hillsborough County, coming up right next here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Very important position right here in Tampa Bay. We're going to talk with him about the state of the Supervisor of Elections office currently as well, coming up on the Consumer Quarterback Show, Consumer QB. Right, Brandon Rhymes here, Consumer Quarterback Show, powered by the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty, always helping you win in your real estate deals when you're buying, selling, or investing. And we've got Billy Christensen in studio here. He is running for Supervisor of Elections in this next cycle. We wanted to bring him in and talk a little bit about the current state of the office of the Supervisor of Elections. Billy Christensen, welcome in, sir.
Hey, thank you for having me.
My pleasure. So, yeah, let's jump right into it, man. Tell us a little bit about what made you want to run and why you're getting involved in politics.
Certainly. Well, quickly, a little bit about me. I'm a husband, father, and a very proud veteran. Spent 9 years in active duty in the U.S. Air Force, and then another 10 years working over at U.S. Central Command as a government civilian.
Awesome.
In the intelligence field. And like many people in the last election cycle, my radar went up, some issues with the elections.
Yep.
And come to find out, my wife's information was stolen out of the Supervisor of Elections office in 2023. So a huge red flag went up. We started looking into it. And I don't know if your public knows or not, but in 2023, in May of 2023, there was a 58,000 person data compromise in which Social Security numbers and driver's license numbers were stolen out of our Supervisor of Elections office.
Wow.
And to
right
date,
here in Hillsborough.
Yeah, right here in Hillsborough County. The only data breach ever in the history of Florida, mind you. And to date, there has not been a single update as to where that information has gone. And it's, like I said, my wife was on that list. It's quite concerning. It's a federal investigation. It's an ongoing criminal investigation. And you would think that in light of the environment that we're in terms of election integrity, our supervisor would be extraordinarily forthcoming about the status of that breach, and we haven't heard a word.
Wow.
So, but that's just the tip of the iceberg. In the last election cycle, he took a nearly $3 million grant, unaccountable grant that originated from none other than Mark Zuckerberg. Zuckbucks, yeah. And I don't know if anybody knows about that or not, but it's unaccountable. He won't tell us where it's spent, but he likes to brag that in 2020 he had the largest Democrat turnout despite COVID. So it's pretty safe to say that some of that money was spent to getting that turnout.
Yeah.
I don't know about you guys, and I don't know about the public, but I don't want a supervisor that's injecting third-party funding into our elections. It's certainly money that's is not accountable. And this is an act that's so egregious that the state obviously agrees. They literally outlawed it.
Wow.
So it takes the state to make a law for our Supervisor of Elections to stop conducting the actions that he's doing.
Wow.
Right? That's going on right here in Hillsborough County. And people aren't aware of that. People aren't asking questions. I hope they start doing that.
Yeah.
Because I think they're going to find that there's other issues that need to be addressed.
What questions should we be asking, Billy?
Well, the first one is, does my vote count?
Mm-hmm.
Or my vote, make them show you that your vote is counting. Did you know that in 2020 there were 21,000 blank ballots cast?
What does that mean?
Well, what that means is that seemingly 21,000 people walked into a polling station and cast a blank ballot. Now, if you believe that, okay. But what it really means is that somebody put a ballot into a
Dropbox?
Yeah, a Dropbox or into a tabulator, and the tabulator, despite what was on the ballot, counted it as blank. And the way that the state law is written, there's no requirement to keep an image of blank ballots. So seemingly 21,000 people had their votes discredited right here in Hillsborough County.
Wow.
So I'd start right there. Then I'd follow up with where and how was our elections office compromised? Was it cyber in nature? Was it physical data in nature? Seemingly it's cyber. What are they doing to make sure that it's not happening again? And where I come from at U.S. Central Command, this is for perspective. This is on a daily basis. Central Command alone is faced with about conservatively 10 to 12,000 cyber attacks, again, a day.
Wow.
Right? So this is fairly routine. Our supervisor is hit with one attack, and they can't provide a single answer. And my guess is he probably doesn't realize what kind of threat he is under. Did you know that Tampa is the number 2 targeted city by foreign intelligence assets?
Wow.
You don't think they have an interest in our election process?
Right.
Especially one that is obviously at risk. It's been compromised. I actually went in during a public logic and assessments test to review the process. And let me just tell you, it is a walking security nightmare. There were Wi-Fi information was out in the open to be hacked direct to the tabulators. There were unaccountable thumb drives, which thumb drives themselves are a security risk. It's just unaccountability in a process that's supposed to be incredibly accountable.
Right.
Is what's going on here in Hillsborough County. So it's pretty clear that we need a new leader.
Yeah.
We need some fresh leadership. The guy that's in there now has been there for 12 years and he's gone unchallenged. A lot of people don't even know who the Supervisor of Elections is, and that's probably okay if the process is going smoothly. It's only when things are going wrong that people start to ask questions, and there are things that are going wrong. Wow. For the sake of all of us, we need some fresh leadership.
Sounds like it.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, this 58,000 data breach. I mean, that's a lot of people, and to not even hear anything, I just can't believe that.
Right. And if anybody asks, I challenge the entire community, ask our supervisor, what is the status of the 58,000 people? What's the status of the investigation? Who has that information? Who was on that list? Was it a targeted list? Right?
Right.
Is that information being used to facilitate this massive illegal immigration issue we have right now? A lot of the concern is in this upcoming election is that illegals are going to be allowed to vote, either through the use of invalid or valid IDs, wherever they're getting them from.
Right.
Are they using that information to produce IDs? We don't know. He owes us answers.
Yeah.
And regardless of who's in that position, it requires somebody of the utmost integrity and someone that's willing to be accountable to the public. And right now, that's not what's happening there. That's exactly what I will do. And hopefully we can restore integrity back into our elections here in Hillsborough County.
Is that a November election?
It is a November election.
And where do we go to support you?
Billy, the number 4, SOE.com. That's our website. And right now we're in primaries. So, we're in Republican primary. We're the only Republican candidate. It seems it's going to be that way up until the general election. We're going to need the support of the community. Yes. It's a huge race. Just for perspective, we require more votes than 10 governorships in the United States.
Wow.
Just based on population. So we need all the support we can get. It's an uphill fight, but we need change in that office.
It sounds like it. Billy4SOE.com.
Yes,
Billy, the number 4, SOE.com. Billy Christensen, a veteran. He's a fighter and Supervisor of Elections, Hillsborough County. We want you getting out there and supporting. Hey, another great show. I want to thank Attorney Jason Kobal, Dr. Scott Anderson, and, of course, Billy Christensen for coming in. We want you to please go out there and consider committing a random act of kindness. We'll see you next time here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
You've been listening to The Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes.